Hello everyone, welcome to 10-Minute Physiology. In today's video, we're going to talk about how ammonium is synthesized in the proximal tubule and how it's secreted in the proximal tubule. So with that, let's give it a go. So I would like to start off by first describing to you the diagram that we're going to be using today. So this right here is an epithelial cell, and this epithelial cell divides up two compartments. The first compartment is the tubule lumen, which is the inside of the nephron, and then the second compartment is the interstitial fluid, which is outside the nephron. Now the epithelial cell's plasma membrane has two sides. The first side is called the apical membrane, and this is the membrane that faces the tubule lumen. The second side is called the basolateral membrane, and this faces the interstitial fluid. So now that we know what this diagram is, let's talk about how ammonium is produced and secreted in the proximal tubule. So the process begins with the sodium-potassium pump present on the basolateral membrane. The sodium-potassium pump pumps out 3 sodiums into the interstitial fluid and 2 potassiums into the cytosol. And the sodium-potassium pump does this by hydrolyzing ATP and then using the energy released from that reaction in order to drive the uphill movement of both sodium and potassium. Now the sodium-potassium pump is going to power a specific cotransporter called SNAT3. So SNAT3 cotransports 1 sodium and 1 glutamine into the cytosol. Now, in addition to the SNAT3 transporters that are on the basolateral membrane, we also have SNAT3 transporters on the apical membrane. These transporters also co-transport sodium and glutamine into the cell. So once glutamine is in the cytosol, the glutamine can be transported into the mitochondria. Now, it's in the mitochondria where these 2 glutamines can be converted into glutamate. Now, during this conversion, 2 ammonium molecules are released during this reaction. After the glutamate is formed, the glutamate will form another molecule called alpha-ketoglutarate. And during this conversion, 2 more ammoniums are formed. The alpha-ketoglutarate will then be converted into oxaloacetate, and then after oxaloacetate is formed, oxaloacetate will be converted by pepCK into PEP molecules. So now that we have these ammoniums produced, how are these ammoniums going to be secreted into the tubule lumen? Well, the first thing is that the ammoniums are going to be transported into the cytosol. And once they're in the cytosol, these ammoniums can actually dissociate into ammonia and protons. So the ammonia that is formed from this dissociation can be transported into the tubule lumen through the process of passive diffusion. So these ammonia molecules passively diffuse across the apical membrane into the tubule lumen. So what about the protons? Well, the protons can be transported into the tubule lumen in a number of ways. The first way is through the proton pumps. The proton pumps pump out protons into the tubule lumen by using the energy released by ATP hydrolysis. In addition, we also have the sodium-hydrogen exchangers. The sodium-hydrogen exchangers will exchange 1 sodium for 1 proton going out into the tubule lumen. So now that we have both protons and ammonia in the tubule lumen, the proton and ammonia can combine together and form ammonium. Therefore, ammonium is allowed to move along the rest of the nephron for processing. So this is basically how the proximal tubule is going to secrete ammonium into the tubule lumen. Now, there is another way in which the proximal tubule can secrete ammonium into the tubule lumen, and this is actually going to be through the NHE protein. So in addition to protons, the sodium-hydrogen exchanger can also exchange ammonium for sodium. So in other words, the sodium-hydrogen exchanger will bring in 1 sodium and then use the energy released by bringing sodium down its electrochemical gradient to drive the uphill movement of ammonium into the tubule lumen. So ammonium itself can be transported by the sodium-hydrogen exchanger into the tubule lumen. So that's it for this video. I hope this video helped you understand how ammonium is produced, and I hope it helped you understand how ammonium is secreted into the proximal tubule. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.